All right. I always do that. Hello, Ryan. How are you this evening?
I'm doing well this evening. How about you?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's Wednesday. Did you have a good Thanksgiving and all the fun stuff? Did you get any good buys over the cyber sales and all that stuff?
Not really. I had a hard drive that's losing capacity on another
Oh,
computer. So replacing that over Cyber Monday, like get a terabyte hard drive for, $60 is pretty nice. And so
yeah, definitely.
that's really the only thing that they purchased. And then we traveled. My family's from Kentucky, so a
Hmm.
lot of traveling. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we didn't do any traveling, but I definitely did a little bit of shopping. It is a good time of the year. Actually, this time of the year is a great time of the year to buy tech, but I will say I wasn't as impressed with the sales this year, especially like the Black Friday sales, the cyber sales. I think it's just simply because honestly, I think that there's such a high demand for things that I don't think that the suppliers really need to offer the sales like they used to. I mean, it used to be you could literally get massive deals on cameras and all kinds of things this time of year, and there just really weren't that many. But there were certainly a few things to snag, but I don't know. I was a little bummed about it, but
Yeah. We were the same way. Actually, when we put that blog post together with all of our
Mhm.
live streaming stuff, Caleb was like, "Oh, I want that, and I want that, and I want that." So that was kind of cool seeing like the stuff that we put together for that. Like
Mhm.
my son was already wanting to purchase just half the things on the list.
Yeah, well, I probably have half the things on that list, but yeah, no, it is a good time to invest in tech because you can get some good deals, and so as Ryan's mentioning, we definitely wanted to put together a little bit of a blog post that gives you some way to get started on knowing what to get. So, in fact, we have two blog posts out that are probably of interest to you this time of year, and one of which was our last live stream. Ryan and I were talking about STEM toys. In fact, we had three very amazing stars on our show. Ryan's three sons actually kind of demoed their favorite toys. And so we do have two blog posts out there that you're probably interested in, one of which is in the description of where you're watching this video. And that is around today's topic, which is, some of the gear that we recommend. There's certainly toys, computers, tech. There's tons to buy and there's tons to look at, but we wanted to give you some links to help you get started on maybe like navigating some options for some gifts. And so the other blog post is about STEM toys and some really cool ones there, the interactive Lego toys and things like that too. So definitely check those out for sure. But tonight we are going to be talking about live streaming. So this is our kind of like show where we're trying to cater to parents who are raising children in of course, this world of technology. And our very first show was around, mobile devices and keeping your kids safe online. And what do you need to do to make sure that they're not getting into trouble or, getting hacked and all those things and keeping your kids safe. And that's a big part of the show. But we're also trying to help you kind of be the cool parent, right? Like help you know a little bit about what these kids are wanting to do and what they're getting into. And so, tonight we thought we'd just take a quick peek at what you want to learn about live streaming. So children these days, it's no secret. There's the whole, thing where everybody says, hey, back when we were little, people said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And kids said firefighter, astronaut, teacher, doctor. And now kids say the number one answer is they want to be a YouTuber.
YouTuber. Yeah. I hear it from teachers all the time. They're like, kids want to be a YouTuber. And, as parents too, we're seeing our kids like consume video, people creating things online. Some that, may be more annoying than others, in my opinion. But
Oh my gosh, are you
it
serious?
sounds like
Don't
you
get
have
me
to have
started.
a pretty accent to have a YouTube channel that's popular these days, because that's all I hear with some of these gamers that they're watching. But yeah, it's really a popular thing, and that's what the kids gravitate towards. But we have
Yeah.
influencers who are creating content that our kids are consuming, and that's what they want to do.
Yeah, it's really an interesting. I love how you said that because there's definitely like there's just such a I don't know, the whole world of online videos, whether it be TikTok or Likey, which is kind of like another application, or YouTube. It's just interesting how children are becoming very accustomed to, watching this stuff, but then they're aspiring to do the same thing. And I think that one of the reasons why, like, when we were little, I think people aspired to be movie stars. They aspired to be, professional dancers, professional singers, right? These sort of like, entertainers, these stars, right? But I think what's happening is that the reason why so many kids are saying they want to be YouTubers or streamers or whatnot is because they're watching kids literally sitting in their house, like, or driving in the car or walking down the street, creating these videos. Like, it doesn't feel so unachievable. And it's not. And that's the thing. It's very achievable, right? And so, yeah, Brandon says, be like Mike. That's funny. Brandon, who typically is on our show with us, one of our co-hosts, he is under the weather tonight. So we didn't want to hear him hacking on stream with us tonight. He would have had to mute his mic constantly, blowing his nose, snotting up the screen. So we said, Brandon, we love you, but dude, hang out in the comments. But no, I think that part of the reason is because it's doable, and that's what's interesting. So I'm a live stream coach. I'm a live stream, mentor. I teach people how to market themselves, and honestly, a really big piece of one of the things I teach is that, hey, 5-6 years ago, creating professional videos required some skill. It required some software. It required some expensive gear. In today's age, it is so achievable. It is so much easier to go out there and create content, create, things. And I think that the kids are seeing that. And that's why they're saying, hey, I want to, I absolutely want to come out and I want to create content. So we got Pixel Plasma over on YouTube. Got to say hi. Pixel Plasma was in your Minecraft class. So definitely hello, Pixel Plasma. Hi. It's great to see you back. Yes, we are definitely live hanging out, and that's what we're doing. So Brandon said it's not that bad. Well, I didn't want to take a chance, Brandon. So glad you're hanging out with us in the comments tonight. But so yeah, so what we want to do today is we want to talk about live streaming, because again, kids are talking about YouTube. Live streaming is a big piece of YouTube. Live streaming is a big piece of gaming. Live streaming is a big piece of people who want to share their code, their custom things. And so we thought we would tackle this concept tonight. We're doing this show about every 2 weeks. And so if you have not subscribed to the channel, definitely make sure you subscribe so you get those notifications. And if you want to learn more about live streaming for your kids or what it takes, anything at all, let us know. Let us know in the comments if you're watching the replay of this video so that we can look at that and decide if we want to create more content around this subject. So what I thought we would do tonight is really just kind of cover the basics, because here's one thing about live streaming. We can go surface level or we can go real deep. And so I think what we want to do tonight is just make sure parents understand, hey, here are some things you might want to think about, maybe some things you might even want to invest in if your kids are ready to do this. And the first thing that truly I think is really important is to point out here is that live streaming for kids is no different than the other things we've talked about. Anytime a child's going to be online doing anything, you have to take all those safety precautions in mind. And so we've covered a lot of that in some of our past shows. And when your kids go, start creating content and they're on these social platforms, you have to understand they are on social media. I mean, Twitch, YouTube are the two popular places where this is happening. So, Ryan, do you have any other additional thoughts around that? I mean, I personally, the first question is going to be, I know from many parents is, well, is it safe for my kids to do this? It's really almost a very identical answer to some of the other questions we've had around Roblox and, some of the other interactions that they can be having online, actually having a phone and being able to message their friends, So do you have anything else to add to that at all, around that?
I think one of the big things early on is so if you've got an account for your child on YouTube where they are under a certain age, they can't create the content right away. And so my sons have gone through this, unless YouTube has changed it really recently, like with their accounts, they can't post things in a channel. They can't create a channel and post content.
They can just watch.
They can just watch and consume essentially. And so that will have to come through a parent account or an account that you create as the parent that will allow you to post that. And so that's really a good thing, I think, overall, because you have control. You see the comments coming through. You see everything that's going on. And so my son can log in and add things to his channel. But, as far as it being, it's still under my account. So I can see the things that come in with that. So that's one of the things that I think it was confusing for me when I started out with this, at least giving them the ability to create content. And I think one of the really good things about that for both of my sons that have created some content is they really get to dive deep into something they're interested in and like explore that in ways that they can explain to someone else. So it's, I really had them put some thought behind, hey, what are you doing? What, who's going to watch this? Think about your audience. What would they like to see? And so they've both gone through that. And I think there's really a lot of good learning that can come along with that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that creating, learning how to learn to code and doing some things, that's absolutely, as we always say, the reason why we love that kind of thing is because we are fostering children to be problem solvers. We're fostering critical thinking. And that's what I love about TechWise Academy is that's why the mission around that I'm so supportive of and on board with. And I really think that it also is it's a creative outlet. It's a creative outlet. And I think that creating content, creating videos, live streaming, it's another creative outlet. It's a place for them to explore technology. It's a place for them to explore modern communications, but also they can be creative. They can really make some really neat things. They can show off some of their creations. They can talk about how they do it. So there's certainly a lot of opportunities. But again, as Ryan said, there are some limitations. And there, as with everything, when it comes to putting your children in a place where they're exposing themselves in any way, shape, or form, there are some things to think about. There are some precautions that you want to take for sure. So I definitely love that you said that. It looks like Pixel Plasma's mother knows us, or at least me or something, but you or me. But he said my friend Logan, or she maybe, said my friend Logan made a stream where he built Legos and he has 800 subscribers. So again, just even something as simple as Legos and creating these videos. But, if you're a parent and you have a younger child that's wanting to do this, then when you get on board with that, then you're going to need to be involved, right? Because as Ryan said, there are some limitations around that. And that is, of course, to protect the children. So
yeah, my 3-year-old loves going out and digging up worms outside. He watches kids on YouTube that are going out hunting bugs in their yard and finding stuff. That is, that's kind of interesting that's out there.
I mean, I've seen a lot of interesting stuff. My daughter Addie loves to get on YouTube. And what's interesting about YouTube is the way it works, so that everybody knows, is that it uses algorithms. And so what happens is as a child starts to watch certain videos, and maybe some of you parents have seen this because they're watching on your YouTube account, especially if they're using a smart TV and you're logged into that TV and they start watching stuff, all of a sudden you're going to open it up and be like, why am I seeing
what, Cocomelon and Blippi?
What is this thing where this person's just putting things into a grinder and we're just watching it? There's so much weird, the slime videos, the reaction, there's so much. So the way it's working is the algorithms are basically predicting what your children want to see. So this is actually one of the reasons why I highly recommend you go ahead and create an account for your child. Make sure their age is set correctly, because it's going to also protect the content. So there's a lot of content out there on YouTube that, quite frankly, is just not appropriate, for children. It is what it is. And what happens is, as we create videos on YouTube, we actually have to check mark that if things are made for kids or if it's not made for kids. And so that is another way that YouTube's trying to, again, they understand what's happening. And so I certainly recommend that you definitely create an account for your child so they can watch, but also so that news feed for them, or that the algorithms work for them. And it's going to present them with content that they care about versus screwing up your, YouTube channel. So very much like Netflix, Netflix recommends certain movies and shows based on what we watch. It's all the same type of stuff. So, but if they want to create content, you're going to probably have to step in and get involved. I don't actually specifically know what the age is there where they get to create content. Maybe you can look that up for me when we get that figured out. So Brandon says, when my daughter wanted to make a channel, I talked to her about what we'll allow. And she has a few videos where she draws and creates. Yeah. So I definitely think, as we talked about with everything else, setting boundaries, talking about the risks with your children, making sure that they understand, hey, make sure they understand what they're doing. Why do they want to do it? What's their objective? Who do they want to create these videos for? And I love that you said that, because that's the marketing person in me is all about that. I am just James already got it for us. He said 13 is the age. Yeah. Appreciate that, Mr. Hicks. James is a good friend of mine, good supporter of the show as well. So definitely appreciate you hanging in here and being here live. So I think it's kind of no different. If your kid is going to go create content on YouTube, guess what? You have a little marketer on your hands. That's marketing content. They are catering to an audience. They're trying to grow an audience, just like Pixel Plasma's friend who has 800 subscribers. Like, you don't grow an audience unless you know your audience and you create content that they want. So having this conversation with your child is important. I don't want to freak you out or scare you away from it, but these are things that are critical. But then also being a moderator of your child's, content as well, making sure that you're paying attention to the comments and all those things. These are all the safety things that are certainly important to think about. We're not going to dive too deep into that tonight unless people just want us to. But really what we want to talk about are, hey, what does it take to actually create videos? What does it take to actually go get started with some of this stuff? And we're going to talk a little bit about, just the gear and stuff, that because it is the holiday season, it is a great time to buy some of these things as Christmas gifts. And heck, maybe you'll use it yourself. I mean, heck, many of the parents are working virtual, and maybe you need some of this stuff. But the other thing is that there's a difference between, just streaming games, right? And actually streaming videos like what we were talking about. So, Brandon's talking about his daughter. She's created videos where she's drawing and creating. Well, doing live streaming of games is different as well. So we're going to talk about some of those things tonight. So it is not today. It is definitely tonight. It is definitely tonight.
So if we were, and you've given recommendations to myself and Brandon as well. So if we were to talk about, best bang for your buck, what's the thing that you see most people creating content, that if they had this would just kind of elevate their live streaming, make it that much better. What's the thing, the one thing?
Great. That's a loaded question in this particular category of the streamer. I will say that audio is really important when it comes to creating content. So for example, people will a lot of times watch a video, but most people, in fact, many people that are watching this video or watching the replay, you might be multitasking and you're going to listen to the video, right? And if the audio is really bad, or if there's a lot of background noise, or if you can barely hear the person talking, you're just not really going to stay in tune. And if you think about how we watch TV, or if we're in our house, a lot of times you'll have a TV on, but you're not necessarily watching, or you're watching something, but you're kind of on your phone, or you're doing other things, or you're walking around the house. If the audio quality was really crappy, you probably wouldn't watch, right? Or you wouldn't keep it on. However, if you think about it, okay, well, what if we watch something that's kind of like not as great video quality? We typically will still watch, especially if the content is what we care about. And honestly, live streaming is not that different. And so a lot of people tend to focus on the cameras. They get a lot of attention on the cameras, but really, if you were to really say, okay, which is the most important, I would say audio. And so a lot of computers come with a built-in microphone, especially laptops that's right inside there. It's usually not a very high quality microphone. And so you might want to think about investing in an external microphone. So there's two types of microphones you can invest in. For children and for beginners, I would say you definitely want to just go with a USB microphone. And what a USB microphone is, it's going to plug right into the computer. The other kind of microphone is what's called an XLR microphone. I think most kids, we don't even need to talk about it. I mean, literally, because it's a lot more expensive. It's more stuff. It's more complicated. And it's like, if you think about like musicians, they use XLR cables. It's a different kind of thing. I have an XLR microphone over here. I'm not even using that tonight. I'm using a USB microphone actually. And this USB microphone is the Elgato Wave 3, and it's on our list, of course, in our blog post. But I think audio is pretty key. The other thing is definitely going to come down to the ability to actually stream, right? And so you may need to, before you can do anything, you're going to need a way to actually stream it out. And so some software, maybe a capture card, depending on what you're doing. But I think audio is pretty important. That's my opinion. And I think I know a lot of my video peers agree. But the kids may not think that's so exciting, but it is pretty key. Now, I will say this too, especially if your kid's a gamer and they're wanting to stream games, they're probably going to want one of those headsets that has a microphone right on it. A lot of those have exceptional mics as well. So, the audio's going to come out really great.
Right in front of their mouth, right? And so that makes it so much better. I was thinking like outside, especially, the mic is probably more so important than anything else.
Just definitely.
You're like standing, you have the background noise, and you might have wind. And, I've had people ask me about filming video outside. I was like, do you have some kind of mic on whoever's speaking 6 feet from the camera? Because if you don't, it doesn't.
Yep.
Like it doesn't really help to not be able to hear what's going on. So I definitely.
Yeah. And honestly, one of the things about microphones is, proximity is really important. So as you just mentioned, so the further away from the microphone you get, the louder you're going to have to talk, or the microphone, especially if it's one of those that's like an iPhone or something, it's going to make automatic adjustments. It's going to increase what's called the gain so that you can become, louder. So as I step away from my microphone, you're going to notice that I'm not as loud, and I may even sound a little echoey. That's because I'm further away, and there's more stuff in the way. But I always say the best microphone is the one closest to your mouth. And so I think most kids don't care about this.
I'm going to reposition my mic here real quick.
Get it up in there. Because if you listen to the way that my voice sounds when I get close to the microphone, it sounds totally different, right? It's completely different. I'm also not talking as loud, but if I'm really close to the microphone, I'm right here. It's actually like podcast quality. It's incredible. When I step back a little bit, because that microphone's a little bit out of shot, now it is, then it's just going to have a different audio effect. Now, different microphones have different, the ways that they pull stuff in. Sorry, I got a really bad itch in my eyeball. But like, it was literally itching forever. It was driving me crazy. You can get really expensive microphones, but if you're going to have it really far away from you, it's not going to matter. So definitely be thinking about that as well. Like I said, USB microphones are typically, they're super easy to use, plug and play, not much to it. But as you said, the other thing is background noise. You talked about if you're outside, you need to be thinking about your environment. So if your kid is going to want to create videos and live streams, you're definitely going to want to try to find them a pretty quiet space. And that when I say quiet space, it might mean a room where it's isolated and there's not a lot going on, but it also could mean just sort of soundproof. So I don't recommend a empty room with a bunch of hard walls and hard floors. It's going to be echoey. In fact, my room isn't sound treated, but I have carpet. There's carpet. There's a futon over here, but my desk is going to actually echo some of my voice. And so there's a lot of things that come into play with that whole echo and sound. And so these are things that you can think about when it comes to audio. Now you can read the reviews. I always say this too. Any item that you're thinking about purchasing, go to YouTube and search that product and then followed by review. And you're going to find real examples of people using that equipment, giving you their honest opinions about it, but also you get to see it in action. And that's another really beautiful thing about YouTube is it's full of information about products, especially in this space, because there's so many YouTubers out there that literally are using this gear and talking about it. So, but yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned the quiet room because my oldest wants to create more content, but he's got 3 younger siblings. It's hard to find that quiet space and be able to have some devoted time for him to be able to do that. That's been one of the challenges that we've tried to kind of work around. He gets a little bit longer in the evening and maybe in the morning as I'm taking the other kids to school. So
yeah, I'm sure. And that's certainly something to think about is, can you find a way to, but also, most of these kids are going to be doing this at home, and, you don't want them to be totally shut up in a room where you can't go in there and see what they're doing either. You definitely want to make sure you're still accessible to them, right? So it's definitely one of those things to think about. But again, that quiet room is definitely a key factor for sure. So Pixel Plasma says, my friend bought himself a professional stand-up microphone for YouTube. Nice. Yeah, there's a lot of different mics on the market. Your USB microphones, are again the easiest. Your XLRs are going to require an interface. We'll just pretty much focus on the actual USB microphones. But I will say this too. Another thing that's probably pretty critical. This camera's way up there, but you notice that my microphone is on a microphone mount. Yeah. That's also pretty key because it's going to keep the microphone off the desk. And especially if they're gaming, they're going to be tapping on their keyboard and their mouse a lot probably and moving things around. And we don't want those vibrations to come through. And so having an actual microphone arm is pretty key. This is actually another Elgato product. It's the low profile arm. I love it because it goes underneath my monitors. I love it. I can swing it out of the way. So Definitely pretty cool. So, and we'll get to this fun little box that I'm talking about here a little bit later, where I'm pushing the buttons. But James says sound dampening wall tiles would be dope. Kids know Corsair, Elgato, and they just launched their own line. Yeah, that's actually something that's interesting that James is bringing up. So there are certain product brands that your children actually may be aware of. So, you were talking about how your son saw our blog post list and he's like, oh, I want that. I want that. He probably already knew about some of these things because they're seeing, again, remember, they're emulating what they're seeing. They're watching other YouTubers, they're watching other streamers, and they're probably used to seeing lights in the background. Wow, I just realized my camera's like super crooked, but lights in the background and the sound, the wall panels. So they look like, I don't know if you ever had these, but like they look like the egg cartons, the mattress pads that look like the egg cartons. Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of the foam wall pads kind of look a little similar, but they're basically foam pads that you can put up on walls. And he's right. Like kids actually will think it's cool, like wall decor. Like they'll be like, I want that in my room. And it's literally also going to help do that sound dampening. And he's right. Kids actually know these brands, Corsair and Elgato. Corsair is a gaming brand. They make products like keyboards and headphones, really great headphones. And then, of course, Elgato, they're basically the same company. They make a lot of streaming gear like lights. I'm actually using Elgato lights. I'm using an Elgato microphone. I'm using an Elgato arm. I'm using an Elgato Stream Deck. My gosh, like lots of Elgato products in my setup here. But, definitely be paying attention to those brands because those brands, they're the ones to pay attention to because they're going to actually be creating products that are geared towards this very thing. So Pixel Plasma says, have you heard of Twitch? That's what Logan streams on, and he makes normal videos on YouTube. Yes, so Twitch and YouTube are actually the two really popular streaming platforms for streaming, especially for kids. Now, you can stream to Facebook. Heck, you can even stream to LinkedIn and Twitter, but I'm pretty sure your kids don't want to stream to LinkedIn. I'm pretty sure they don't care about LinkedIn. But yeah, I'd say YouTube and Twitch are the two most popular platforms where people are streaming for sure. And as you and Brandon talked about this, a few weeks ago, is get on these platforms. Like if your kids you're like, what is Twitch? Like I thought Twitch was like a character in a movie, a cartoon or something. You need to get on Twitch. Go ahead and get on there. Get acclimated, learn a little bit. It's no different than the games. Like you made that recommendation. You said, go get on there and check out the games yourself. You need to do the same thing. So if you're not really using YouTube and you don't know what Twitch is, go ahead and create an account and just check them out. You don't want to just go send your kid into the blind space of, sure, go ahead and start streaming to Twitch. So definitely do that for sure. Okay, what should we talk about next? Should we talk about some of the gear that is required? Do you have other questions before we move forward with that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think as we move down that list of gear, I think one of the things that was most difficult for me, I had limited space at my home office to set up. Got a smaller little area that I get to share with the kids. But lighting has been something that I've fought with a lot. Trying to get the lighting right so that I don't cast a huge shadow to one side. You can clearly see my face in the camera. And I do some online training with TechWise as well, and trying to make sure that that's a clear picture as I'm teaching students. So what are your thoughts on lighting? What do you actually need for that? And how do maybe you need to kill out some lighting in your room?
Yeah. Okay. So this is a really great question. And so when it comes to lighting, to be honest with you, lighting is definitely important, especially if you're using a webcam. And so let me back up and talk about the cameras first, because the cameras definitely they kind of go together. They absolutely go together. And so you're going to find that when it comes to webcam, so here's the thing. Bottom line, in order to stream, you're going to need a couple of really important elements. You're going to need a way to display a video. Okay. And you're going to need a way to capture audio or stream some audio. It's not required, I suppose, when it comes to the kids. But, in order for them to be on screen, on camera, you have to have a camera source. And so if you're using a laptop, you might have a laptop that has a built-in webcam. 90% of those built-in webcams are total crap. Like they are just not good quality, to be really, really honest with you. If you take a cell phone and you have, go do a selfie video, if you were to smear as much I don't know, go eat like a grilled cheese sandwich with your hands and then literally touch your camera screen and then look at your camera quality at that point. That's probably what most of those built-in webcams look like.
And mine
They're
doesn't
just,
even have one of those.
oh, so
They're
and some
in
don't.
now because they're making the bezel a little bit smaller around the screen, and so they're just getting rid of those.
Yeah, and honestly, some brand new laptops, especially corporate laptops, are putting in better built-in webcams because of the increase in
Work
zooms
from home,
and all that.
get
But it depends on the computer. Now, a lot of computers are saying, "Screw it, we're not doing it because you're going to hook up an external webcam anyway." So it definitely is one of those things. If you're going to buy a computer, a laptop, and get a built-in webcam, I want you to think about this. Check the webcam out. It's probably not going to be good quality. And so you're probably going to want to invest in a webcam. Now, one of the webcams that is, let me get it here, really popular, a brand of webcam that's really popular is called Logitech. So Logitech webcams are on the market everywhere. They're basically, you've probably seen them. They look like this. It mounts to the top of your monitor. You know, just kind of affixes to the top of the screen. You can also put it on a tripod if you want. And it just plugs into your computer via USB. You literally plug it in and it's ready to go. These USB webcams will run you anywhere from $60 to, $150. You can spend more on a webcam, up to $200. I would be cautious about it just simply because the quality of those webcams that are getting up into that $150 to $200 range, a lot of times really aren't any better. So in fact, this camera, my behind the scenes camera you see here is a $200 webcam. It's the Logitech Brio. It is a wider angle, which is what a lot of people want, which is why it's my behind the scenes because I don't use it anymore. But it's plug and play. It's easy to use. These webcams will use an auto white balance. They're going to use some auto adjusting. So your lighting is kind of critical. If you're in a dark space, that webcam quality is going to be pretty crappy. So a ring light, okay, we see these beauty ring lights all the time, would be a great investment, especially as you're just getting started. It's pretty simple, doesn't take up a lot of space. If you do have a little bit more of a budget, you might want to consider buying a couple of lights that would sit on the desk and flank. Now, the other thing to think about when it comes to lighting, which is pretty critical, is space. Because these lights take up space, right? Especially if you're going to purchase these lights. So do you really want to take this, use up the space? Your kid probably is going to think it's super cool for them to have these cool lights on their desk and whatnot. But are they using your computer at your desk? Do you want those things on your desk? But the other thing I'll say, and you and I were talking about this before we went live, are you doing Zoom calls? Are you doing virtual meetings? Because if you are, all the equipment that I'm going to talk to you about absolutely is going to increase the quality of your own virtual meetings. So be thinking about that too, that maybe it sounds like it's for the kids, but maybe it's for yourself as well. So that's definitely a pretty interesting kind of important thing to say too. So the camera quality is important. Now, I will say this, I'm not using a webcam. So I am actually using a DSLR camera. So I'm using a Sony a6100. It's a mirrorless camera. I am using a high quality lens as well. My camera and the lens total is over $1,000. Probably not what you want to buy for your kid as they get started in live streaming. But there is a reason why my camera quality looks the way it does. And I always like to differentiate that because people say, well, wait, I want the webcam you have, Mel. I'm like, it's not a webcam.
Right.
But keep in mind, this is my profession. This is what I do. And there's a reason why I've made that investment. Right. So, and I think you're using a Canon camera. Are you using the Canon tonight?
I am using the Canon tonight. I have had the other one last week when I had a Logitech that I switched to as sort of a secondary camera. And I think the lighting affected the Logitech a lot. And you said it had all of those corrections built into it. And that's one of the things that you were noticing in mine, that it would constantly try to focus and do other things as the light shifted, or maybe I moved to one side or the other in my frame, that it was automatically adjusting those and causing some things. And so I have the Canon, like the entry level SLR set up and have it mounted so that I can do stuff like this. So.
Yeah, so if you have an extra camera, like a fancier camera, maybe you have a DSLR camera sitting around, these cameras can be used as webcams, but they do require an interface. And so you have to have a capture card that's going to basically help your computer recognize that camera as a webcam. Because if you just plug it into your computer, it's not going to show up when you go to
Well,
select
download
your
files. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. It's like, what's going on here? So now there also are background applications as well that will allow you to kind of trick your computer into doing that as well. So we can, of course, dive into that content in another episode if we want to. Brandon is talking about the Logitech. He has the Logitech Stream Cam. He might be on some cold medication. He says the webcam. He actually has the Stream Cam, which is featured in our blog post that you can find in the description where you're watching the video. That Logitech Stream Cam is a really great camera. Now that camera is a camera only. It does not have a built-in microphone. A lot of these webcams, like the one I showed you, which I've already misplaced,
Yeah, it has mics built in.
they have mics built into them. Again, not always the greatest quality of microphone. It certainly isn't going to sound like my microphone or even Ryan's microphone, but it's certainly a great place to get started. And that's one thing I'll say is your kids' streams don't have to be perfect as they get started. They really just don't. And so help them get started, help them get acclimated, because here's the other thing I'll tell you. They may get going with this and start it, and then they may decide they're not interested in it anymore. So I say start with a webcam, have them use the built-in microphone on it, get them started, and then if they love it, get them a microphone. Again, you can get a microphone, a USB microphone, anywhere from, honestly, really anywhere from about $70 to, heck, you can spend $350 on a USB microphone, but certainly one of those things for sure. So great question by Pixel Plasma. Does a phone camera work fine? So actually, yes, you can actually use a cell phone, plug it into your computer. You have to use a third-party application in order for your computer to recognize that cell phone as a webcam. And so that is definitely the difference. But that you can find a million videos on YouTube about how to do that. There's apps that you basically download it on your computer and you download it on your phone, and then they basically connect together. So a great question though.
There's apps on your phone as well that let you like connect directly from your phone and like start streaming.
That's true.
From your phone. And so that's an easy option too. If you have an old phone you're not using anymore, maybe you want kid, hey, here, have this, go out and create some videos. There's even like simple video editing tools on a lot of the phones. And so you can let them go create their own video, cut it, add audio to it, all directly from the phone.
The phone. Absolutely. And iPads are the same way. iPads work the same way. A lot of editing applications right there on the iPads too. Okay, so the other area that is pretty critical that, so back to lighting, and I want to pull up our blog post because I want to show what these are, because some people may be like, what are you talking about, ring light? So literally the ring light is legit a ring light. So this right here is actually a ring light. So I'm going to click on this right here. It's going to take us to Amazon where you can buy this ring light. But it essentially is a beauty light, and it's going to light up the face. You can dim them. You can, it can mount right behind a desk, can be sitting on the floor. This is probably the best place to get started when it comes to lighting. Most of these come with brackets that you can actually install and mount the phone, as you can see there in that photo right there.
So recording from their phone, they've got it.
They can put it right there, and they have great lighting, and they're able to light up their face. Now, the reason why the ring is great is because it's going to put even light around them. I will say this, you're going to see even in Walmart stores, Staples stores, Target stores, all kinds of places, you're going to see ring lights for sale, but they're probably going to be really small ones, like 10 inches, in diameter. You honestly want to go with one of these better ring lights. Those little ring lights really are no different than you just having a lamp in front of their face, which is the next question I get a lot of times is, well, can't we just put lamps in front of our face? You certainly can, but this type of light is actually going to give you a much better quality light for your stream. So that's what a ring light is. I certainly recommend you go with an 18-inch in diameter ring light. And of course, that's the one that we have here in our blog post for sure. It's an 18-inch in diameter, has a kit, so even got a carrying case so that you can pack it up, put it in the closet when the kids aren't using it. So the other ones that we have that are highly recommended are the key light airs. Again, these are made by Elgato.
Ones that set on the side.
Yes, these are actually the lights that I have set up in my setup here. Let me see if I can. So yeah, so you're going to see one here and then one here. And those are mounted, they're sitting on my desk. And I have one turned up, it's reflecting off of the ceiling and kind of coming on. And then this one's sort of And I can dim these. I can control these right there from my computer. I can even control them from an app on my phone. I can turn them on, turn them off. I can actually change the brightness of them and all that. So super highly recommended as well. A little bit more expensive than your ring lights, but again, it's kind of an upgrade, a step up. So kind of wanted to point those out because lighting is as you said, pretty critical. So, and then, our blog post also has some highly recommended webcams as well. Here's that Stream Cam that we talked about earlier. This Razer Kaio, is it still on sale?
Oh yeah, it was still $199 the other day.
Wow. So yeah, this is half off right now. So that's a really great deal. That's a good camera. This isn't actually a highly high quality.
Razer makes a lot of gaming equipment.
They do. They absolutely do.
Like, this is
yes.
like really good. Yeah.
And what I like about this is it's a wide angle, which is what a lot of kids want. But the other thing that you're going to notice is it will actually stream out 1080p, which is that, that's really what you want to be looking for in a webcam. You want to buy something, don't buy anything that will go any less than 1080p. You want to make sure you can do 1080p at a minimum. That's high definition. In fact, 720 is not even considered high def anymore. So it used to be 1080 was super high def and 720 was high def. In fact, I don't even think YouTube recognizes 720 as high definition anymore because everything's 1080 or 4K. And it will also stream 1080 at 60 frames per second, which is a really good quality camera, to be honest with you. So, and as you said, Razer is a great brand. I always say pay attention to brands: Elgato, Corsair, Razer. Logitech's great as well. Certainly, these are great brands you can rely on. But again, watch the reviews, watch the videos, check them out, read the reviews as well. As you can see here, it's got a great review on Amazon. So certainly, you can always trust that. Usually can trust that as well. So, and then of course, there's that Logitech Stream Cam we talked about earlier. This is the microphone that we talked about. I'm using the Elgato Wave 3. I actually put in the Elgato Wave 1 because, quite frankly, for what we're talking about, especially kids getting started with streaming, the Elgato Wave 3 is a little more expensive, and it's really not any different. It's really not that different than the Wave 1. The biggest difference is just going to be the controls on the microphone versus in the app, as well as some frequency changes. Not going to be anything important for anybody to think about. This is actually a super popular gaming one because it's kind of got the cool lights. And so you may see a lot of these as you go explore the whole live streaming world. You may run into seeing this microphone a lot. This is the HyperX Quadcast. Super popular microphone. In fact, I like this one because it does come with a desk mount with a shock mount, which is going to help with those vibrations we talked about earlier, for sure. So, and then I want to go back up to the lighting thing because one of the things you're going to find that kids really want is they actually want things in their set. They want things in their streams. They want cool lights. You've got
they want cool lava lamps, right?
Yeah, hey, lava lamps. I'm telling you, the lava lamps became like part of my brand by accident. I love the lava lamps. But yes, people want things. A lot of kids especially, want these LED light strips. Even if your kid doesn't want to do live streaming, they probably want these in their bedroom. So, I actually
super
like the
cheap, like anywhere, Walmart.
Oh my gosh. Now,
Home
okay,
Depot,
wait.
Menards.
Not all LED light strips are treated the same. I will say that. The whole like $10 ones, stay away from those $10 ones that you see everywhere. In fact, what's funny is those $10 ones, if you bought like 3 different brands of $10 ones, and they come with these little remotes. They literally come with these.
They all work with each other. Yeah.
They literally work with each other because it's the same stinking thing. So it's so funny. But I actually really like the Govee brand. And Govee, if we click here, hopefully it'll let us maybe click on the, here we go. The Govee store. So if you click on that link that's in our blog post and then you can go to the Govee store, there are so many lights that they create, but they have these like, these ones that are built for behind the TV that's got this little like sensor on it. So it's actually going to create the light to try to like mimic what's on TV.
What's on the TV.
Yeah, this is a newer product of theirs. There are these light bars that you can customize and put on your wall. They have these light, vertical light structures as well. There's so many products that Govee creates, but again, they all integrate. Ooh, they now have the floodlights. Okay, there you go. They integrate with the phone, so you can literally just like your Amazon devices or your Google devices, you can even just say, turn on the light strip or whatever, and it will literally turn them on and change them. So I also like the Govee brand because they're just really reliable, and they tend to not flicker on screen, which is another kind of key point when you're using webcams and stuff. So definitely check out, again, all these items are they're in our blog post that we have on our website. The link is up in the description for sure. So definitely be sure to check that out. Okay, so before we run out of time, I want to make sure that we also, there's a couple really key factors here. We talked about gear. There's some other types of gear. There's a Stream Deck. If your child is asking for a Stream Deck, what it is it's this thing right here that I have right here. And you can't see it real well in my picture. And Ryan, you have a Stream Deck as well, yes. I believe. So yeah, so this is basically a box. It's a piece of hardware. And there we go. And you can program the buttons to do things. And so I'm programming the buttons to actually, they're controlling another application that is controlling my cameras, which is how I'm able to switch between the different cameras. Oh, it's not on. Dang it. My new camera shut off. I got another new camera. It's over there, but it's shut off right now. But so you can actually use that to control applications on your computer. The Stream Decks are really popular with people who are streaming and gaming because they're just shortcuts instead of them having to grab their mouse and do something. So here's what I would say. If your kid's asking for a Stream Deck, ask them why and ask them to show you how they would use it, because that piece of hardware should come after they know how to use other applications of software. So I think kids see it and they think it's cool, but they're not ready for it if they don't know how to use a lot of the applications that go with it.
It was really helpful for me, like when I was recording videos at home. And so I could produce the video as I was creating the content right away. And so I could hit record. I could like drop in a lower third right away with a button on the Stream Deck, which is my name coming across the bottom. I could switch to a overlaid screen where I was showing students something on the screen and my face on the side of it. And then I could switch back, stop recording, like all with this small little button keypad that I had like told each button what I wanted it to do. And so it was really great for that. I don't use it as much when I'm streaming, but for that purpose, it was great.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. So, it can control applications that that you might be using to stream, but then it can also control applications that you're using to record content. So, like you can pause recording, we could get all up into it, but we can't. We could be here for hours.
Check out follow Melanie on her, because she's got lots of Stream Deck.
A lot of tutorials, a lot of fun stuff. I will share this really quick so that maybe, because we do need to talk about OBS, but this is actually a piece of software on my computer. This is called OBS, Open Broadcast Software. It's actually free, but if your kid's using a Chromebook or a super lightweight computer, don't download this. This is definitely a more intense application that is going to require some good RAM on your actual computer. So definitely, but it is a technical piece of software. But if your child is researching, creating gaming videos or streaming at all, they've probably come across this application in a video somewhere. This is a really popular application where you can actually customize some things. And so, for example, all these different things over here to the left, which you can barely see, those are different scenes that I've programmed into here. So this is the Cam Link. That's my Sony camera plugged into my Cam Link capture card. But if I go here and I say, if I say Cam Link countdown or countdown with Cam Link, it's going to actually put this overlay on here, which you now see on screen here, but I have these other scenes set up, and those scenes are set up to my Stream Deck. And so I can actually change the scenes, change things up, and actually, this is what a lot of streamers are doing, is they're actually changing things up. So if you watch a streamer, you'll notice that they'll be like, you'll see their game on screen, and then all of a sudden they're on screen, and then all of a sudden their game's on screen, but they're in the lower left-hand corner. They're probably using an application like OBS, and they're customizing those views. And so that's an application that, quite frankly, does require a little bit of a learning curve, but it's free, and there's a ton of YouTube videos out there to teach them how to use this. So you use OBS, I believe, to even record videos. Is that right?
That's right. I use OBS, and that's what we would use if if we were using a capture card. And I know we haven't talked about those yet, but if my son was playing on his Switch and he wanted to bring whatever was showing up on his Switch into my computer,
Mm-hmm.
like OBS is already set up to read from a capture card, bring that scene in, allow my son to switch to his camera. All of that is already in OBS. It does, like you said, there are a lot of options. Typically with free software, they put options for everything in there. And
Mm-hmm.
so there is some learning that goes along with that. But OBS is one that I use. One of my sons uses GeForce Now. So if they have an NVIDIA graphics card, like it's got a built-in streaming service that will allow them to add overlays for gaming. It will capture while they're playing games. It knows that you're playing a game. It will capture the end of your game. So if you want to like grab that clip later and use it, you can do that. Steam is another gaming platform, and they have their own streaming to that. And so what you would do is for OBS and for GeForce, for Steam, you would connect them to your Twitch account, to your YouTube account. And so it would take whatever you're doing locally and send it up to one of those platforms that's broadcasting it out to everyone else. So
Yeah. And that's really important, is because in order to stream out, you definitely have to have, you can stream from YouTube directly on YouTube, but most of the stuff that we're talking about, especially if you're trying to stream something on your screen, you're going to need a third-party application that's going to push out. So you would connect your Twitch account, you would connect your YouTube account, and then use that application to stream out. OBS can certainly do it. If you want to stream, StreamYard is another one that is really easy to use. But, again, there's a lot of things to explore here. It all comes down to the types of videos that your kids are wanting to create. Again, I actually put a link up in our description as well. That is a video over by StreamYard that talks about using StreamYard. But if you're wanting to stream from a gaming console, that's a whole different can of worms, to be honest with you. That does require another piece of hardware, which is a gaming capture device. So it's actually a device that you hook into your computer, that you hook your Xbox or your PlayStation into. It interfaces to your computer, which is then going to allow your computer to basically recognize it as a video source, which you then can stream out. So certainly a lot to think about. So I think that the key basics that we really wanted to talk about were, I wanted to talk a little bit about what this even looks like, give some tips to parents about the conversations to have with your children. Because again, if they want to start streaming or creating YouTube content, it's a whole nother world. They are going to get involved in communications and in social media, and there's going to be comments that they're going to get. There's going to be negative comments that they're going to get. So being able to prepare them for the world that they're trying to enter is really, really critical. But also being able to, support them and getting them some of the gear that's going to help them create, some really fun stuff. I truly do think that it's a piece of art. I think that it's art when a child can create videos. And I think it's just scary because we're talking about social media. And I think that it can kind of make us as parents kind of be like, but they are creating videos, and some of these kids can get really creative and really talented at a very young age simply by just tinkering and having fun. And I'll tell you what, the kids always surprise us all the time, how fast they learn things. They're not, just, I don't know, they can really, and if your kid is into any of the stuff the TechWise Academy is doing, I guarantee they're super capable of like watching a few videos. And next thing you know, you're going to be like, how did you do that? So, but we just kind of wanted to demystify this process a little bit, for parents, of course. So Ryan, what else do you have? Do you have any other questions before we kind of?
No, I think that's a good point. Where that's one of our tenets at TechWise: enjoy learning. If your kid enjoys creating the content, they'll figure out how to use it in a way that works for them. That they will. You're right. They will pick right up on it, and they'll YouTube how to use this stuff, and they'll just continue down that path. But if they enjoy it, and I think you can see a lot, and I can see from my own son just coming out of their shells, like some of the things that they want to create, like, why did you think of that? Or what made you think of that? Like, just those conversations are really good.
And I love how you talk about that. Like it's conversation, like it's another thing, another element for you to be involved in your kids' creativity, but also, it's true. It's technology and streaming and gaming and any of that stuff. It's the same process. Like for me, it's taken me a long time to get to where I am, but I wouldn't be where I am in regards to knowing things and knowing how to have multiple cameras hooked up to my computer and using the Stream Deck and all the things we talked about, which is really just scratching the surface. I wouldn't be doing any of this or knowing any of it if I didn't tinker. And that is truly what we're trying to foster, is an environment where your child can just tinker. What they learn by continuing to tinker and to play and figure things out, that's the whole goal here, is you're teaching a child to not give up. I can't tell you how many people that in my world who are like, oh, I'll never be able to create videos like you do, Mel. And I'm like, sure you can. And it's because they just aren't really willing to put that time into figuring it out. And so this is actually an area where I do believe that letting your kids figure it out and get involved, as long as you're keeping them safe, is also a lot of the same critical thinking skills. It's technology. They're like, ooh, what's that button do? I'm going to try it. And it's not going to break. So letting them be willing to try things, knowing it's not going to break, is actually really valuable in all of the things. And so it does really kind of go along with the mission of TechWise Academy for sure. So
absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, Pixel Plasma, thanks for watching tonight. We definitely appreciate you hanging out with us. It's probably time to sign off for us as well. I know we got a lot going on. And, Brandon, we're sorry that you were sick tonight. Glad you're here in the comments. We wish you were here on screen with us, but hopefully you feel better soon, my friend, for sure. Now, if you caught the replay, definitely let us know. Feel free to comment in the comments. We will definitely get back into responding to those. But, if this is something that you're interested in learning more about, let us know. We'll be happy to put more content together for you guys to learn about streaming, gear, video creation, YouTubing, all the things, because it is kind of aligned with what, TechWise is all about. So anything else, Ryan, before we say goodnight?
No, I think that's it. I think it was good.
Awesome.
Had a good time. Thank you.
Good. All right, everybody. Hopefully you learned something. Yeah. All right. See you, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.
All right. Bye.